Hi everyone, I hope you are having a wonderful time. Today I would like to share my experience of using this Topping D70 Pro Octo, which is 8 DAC chip inside. So that is using Cirrus Logic CS43198, 8 of them inside, and fully balanced design, and it has very good signal to noise ratio. This chip is improved version of 4399, internally DSD conversion up to DSD512, so that is a good improvement over previous generation of the chips, including better signal to noise ratio and channel separation, etc. Topping totally take the advantage of the chip offering, designed this Octo D70 Pro for $599, the retail price. I reviewed Topping D70 Pro Sabre a few months back, and it was one of my favorite deck back then. So compared to that, this D70 Pro Octo comes a little short just out of the box performance based on factory setting. I started using this D70 Pro Octo in my streaming setup, watching movies and listening to my music, and I find it to be a little too transparent and a little bit on colder side of neutral for my taste. I was pairing with Topping PA7 Plus Class D power amplifier and Musician Night One. Pairing with Topping's own Class DM makes it a lot easier using the 12-volt triggers, but when I'm using the gain control on this D70 Pro Octo, every time I control the gain, turning up or turning down, especially turning it up, it has some sort of a noise comes along with it. Not right away. As soon as I turn it, there is no noise. But a few seconds later, it will introduce that noise. But it will go away right away. So that's the problem that I had experienced using as a pre-deck. Because of I was experiencing that noise issue, I changed my amp to 500 watts Class D ice power monoblocks, and it's still happening. Same thing. So I was like, oh, okay, this is, I'm not going to be keep on using it, so I just totally disable variable pre-deck mode and just use it as a deck only. So then I started listening again, and the sound signature is transparent sound without much of coloration out of the box as it came from the factory setting. And it has channel balance setting and that kind of setting that you can change it to. So I tried it in that system, then I moved it here and I listened some of my music all over again, and I find it to be too neutral and like transparent yet lack the refinements. That's the using filter number one. That's how it came from the factory. So I play a lot of different formats and music and listen it again. One thing that truly bugged me is some of the micro detail, tiny noises and nuances when I was listening to Diana Krall, No Moon at All, right? The piano tones, those notes are a little bit on colder side of neutral, and I mean, it's not really musically engaging to listen. When Diana starts singing in her voice, also stay lacking the a little bit of emotion for me. It's supposed to be richer side of tone and balance, how natural voice is, whether I listen to vinyl or other type of decks that I use. And small nuances and noises are a little artificial, like tongue movements or that kind of small noises are too artificial. So I'm not really a big fan of that. So I started to play around with the filter setting. It has 9 different filter settings. So when it get to number 5, there is a Topping call it noise filter, but most of the deck it has to sample somehow. So this one, I don't know how they do it, so I don't have that detailed information. But as soon as I switch to filter number 5, music becomes a little bit more engaging and more natural, like analog music or like real music kind of sound. Otherwise, it's a little too flat and unengaging and less enjoyable sound signature for me personally. Upper range of frequency are a bit colder and drier side, lacking the richness and warmness that we can truly enjoy and melt into the music. So I don't get that feeling or that experience using factory setting. Then when I switch over to filter number 5, NOS filter, then I have a lot better than previous filters that I experienced, and I end up keep using the filter number 5. The bass quality can be a little lacking, especially how deep it can produce. Mid-range and upper mid-range and human voices, it has good transparency and cleaner side of sound signature, but overall the background is not as transparent or clean as I would love to hear. So if you are looking for a really nice and dark background, this will not be the best one to choose for you. And if you want more precise and more refined in sound signature, this can be a little lacking for my taste because it can be a little shrill and a little unengaging to listen, slightly artificial sounding, and upper range of frequencies can be a little bit brighter side of neutral, and it can be slightly thinner sounding time to time, and it can get pretty bright with some pairings. For my taste, out of the box as it came from the factory, I'm not really a big fan of it, but when I'm start using filter number 5, it's somewhat enjoyable experience, but still I want slightly more. After I settled with filter number 5, I went back to listen Diana Krall No Moan at All over again. What I can notice right away is piano notes are slightly richer and a little bit more well-rounded. Coldness is gone, slightly enhanced, more engaging tonal balance with good separation. And then the voice, her voice has a little bit more natural tone to it, but not to the extent of like AKM chips or those kind of sound signature there yet. And then the upright bass, right? Texture and body and everything is more enhanced and more natural and engaging to listen. So those are the differences between filter setting in this D70 Pro Octo. My favorite is using as a NOS filter. So that is one thing that I want you to aware of it. System pairing is gonna be super important with this top-end D70 Pro Octo, more so than D70 Pro Saber, because this one will be totally engaging to listen if you have two like transparent sounding setup. So if I have to choose one like Octo or Saber from D70 Pro lineup, I will definitely go with ESS Saber lineup because it has more engaging and more refined sound signature to it, a totally hi-fi high-end sound signature that it can deliver. This one it needs more refinement in overall sound signature. Separation between the notes are good. I mean, it's not bad at all. And then stereo image is very nice and precise, and human voices and vocals gonna be right in the middle, and it's totally precise location where I would love to hear. But when I listen to more music, especially upper mid-range and lower highs and those regions lack a little bit of refinement. Separation is there. It is decently good, but it lacks the refinement and engagement like natural music. And then highs can be shrill time to time depending on the recording and depending on the speakers. So if you have older Wafdale or Sonus Fava or like older like Hubbard or Spandau or that kind of speakers, this one may work well. If you have like a really warm and chewy setup, this one might balance it out. If you like revealing and transparent sound, if you don't mind hearing the notes in colder side of neutral, this may work well. It depending on your system pairing, but if you have very revealing setup, I would not recommend this deck. But if you have laid back and overly smooth and sound signature room or setup, this one may enhance your experience. If I have to choose one, this D70 Pro Octo or D70 Pro Saber, I would definitely go with ESS bass because it also have a sound coloration that I can play around like tube or transistor or natural, that's what they call it, I believe. So those are 3 or 4 different settings that you can play around. So that is one thing that really love about that ESS based design. This one is okay for me. If you like this Octo design, I can still recommend you to try it out, but I will highly suggest you to start off with filter number 5. I kind of like the design and features and everything that it can do, but I'm not really big fan of overall sound signature wise. So that is my experience that I like to share with you. Thank you very much for watching and happy listening.
Next one it's called Kiss of Life. And let's hear some bass. The sky, it's the color of love. There must have been an angel by my side. Something heavenly came down from above. He led me to you. He led me to you. He brought the bridge to your heart all the way. How many times I've lived inside, oh, I can't say. When I was led to you. When I lay eyes on you, hey, let me burn. You wrap me up in the color of love. You gave me the kiss of life, kiss of life. Here's a man. You gave me a kiss that's light. Here's a man. Show me So great. On the bass, Mr. Toriboy Keisuke-san. On the guitar, Onuma Yosuke-san.